June 14th, on this day, in 1381, the Peasants' Revolt in England reached its climax when rebels, led by Wat Tyler, met King Richard II at Blackheath. The rebels then stormed the Tower of London without resistance, plundering and burning it and killing the Archbishop of Canterbury. This uprising was fueled by public outrage against the poll tax and harsh economic conditions. In 1541, William, Duke of Jülich-Cleves-Berg, married Jane d'Albret, the daughter of King Henry II of Navarre. Jean was forced into the marriage against her will and had to be carried to the altar. The marriage was annulled 4 years later. In 1642, Massachusetts passed the first compulsory education law in the American colonies, laying the groundwork for public education in what would become the United States. In 1645, at the Battle of Naseby in Leicestershire, Parliament's new model army, commanded by Oliver Cromwell and Thomas Fairfax, decisively defeated the Royalist forces led by King Charles I and Prince Rupert. This battle marked a turning point in the English Civil War. In 1658, French and English forces defeated the Spanish army near Dunkirk, which was then in the Spanish Netherlands during the Battle of the Dunes. In 1775, the Continental Congress authorized the formation of the United States Army, officially establishing the military during the early days of the American Revolutionary War. In 1777, the Continental Congress approved the Stars and Stripes as the first national flag of the United States, making it a symbol of the new nation's independence. In 1800, Napoleon Bonaparte and his troops defeated Austrian forces at the Battle of Marengo, solidifying his military and political authority in Paris. In 1807, Napoleon Bonaparte won the Battle of Friedland against the Russian army, leading to a peace treaty with Alexander I of Russia. In 1811, Harriet Beecher Stowe was born in Litchfield, Connecticut. As the author of Uncle Tom's Cabin, her novel fueled anti-slavery sentiment and was considered a significant influence leading up to the American Civil War. In 1820, John Bartlett, who would later compile the famous Bartlett's Familiar Quotations, was born. His work became a standard reference for quotations in English literature. In 1846, a group of American settlers in California declared the region to be a republic, aiming for independence from Mexican rule. This was a significant event in the Bear Flag Revolt. In 1855, Robert Marion La Follette was born. Known as Fighting Bob, he became a prominent leader in the American Progressive Movement, serving as governor of Wisconsin, United States Senator, and a Progressive Party presidential candidate. In 1864, during the Battle of Pine Mountain in Georgia, Confederate General Leonidas Polk was killed by Union artillery fire, marking a notable loss for the Confederacy in the American Civil War. In 1871, the French Impressionist painter Camille Pissarro married Julie Vallée in London, marking a significant personal event for the celebrated artist. In 1893, the city of Philadelphia observed the first Flag Day, celebrating the adoption of the United States flag. In 1907, women in Norway gained the right to vote, marking a significant step forward for women's suffrage in Europe. In 1919, British aviators John Alcock and Arthur Whitten Brown took off from St. John's, Newfoundland, on the first non-stop transatlantic flight. Their journey reached Clifton, Ireland, less than 16 hours later, demonstrating the potential of aviation. In 1922, Warren G. Harding became the first president of the United States to speak on the radio, signaling a new era in communications and presidential outreach. In 1923, the first country music hit, Little Old Log Cabin in the Lane, was recorded, marking a key moment in the history of American music. In 1925, Pierre Salinger was born. He would later serve as press secretary for President John F. Kennedy, playing a crucial role in American political communication. In 1928, Che Guevara was born in Argentina. He would become known worldwide as a key leader and strategist of guerrilla warfare during the Cuban Revolution, and later as a symbol of revolutionary movements across South America. In 1932, Representative Edward Eslick died on the floor of the House of Representatives while passionately advocating for the passage of the Bonus Bill, which sought to provide compensation for World War I veterans. In 1933, Jerzy Kosinski was born in Poland. He became a noted Polish-American novelist, best known for works such as The Painted Bird and Being There. In 1940, German forces entered and occupied Paris, marking a dramatic chapter in World War II and beginning a 4-year German occupation of the French capital. In 1940, Auschwitz concentration and extermination camp was opened by Nazi Germany in occupied Poland. Initially used for Polish prisoners of war, the camp would later expand to hold Jewish, Romani, Catholic, and Soviet civilians. At least 1.1 million people would die within its walls. In 1941, Estonia lost approximately 11,000 inhabitants as a result of mass deportations to Siberia by Soviet authorities, profoundly impacting the country's population and history. In 1942, the United States Supreme Court ruled that requiring students to salute the American flag was unconstitutional, upholding freedom of expression in public schools. In 1944, Boeing B-29 bombers carried out their first raid against the Japanese mainland, marking a significant escalation in the air war during World War II. In 1945, Burma was liberated from Japanese occupation by British forces, signaling an important shift in the Southeast Asian theater of World War II. In 1946, Donald Trump was born. He would go on to become a real estate developer in New York and later serve as the 45th President of the United States. In 1949, Albert II became the first monkey to travel into space. The rhesus monkey reached an altitude of 134 kilometers before dying on return due to a parachute failure. This mission was part of animal spaceflight tests conducted prior to human space exploration. In 1951, UNIVAC, the first computer built for commercial purposes, was demonstrated in Philadelphia by Dr. John W. Mauchly and J. Presper Eckert, Jr., marking a milestone in the history of computing. In 1954, Americans participated in the first nationwide civil defense test against atomic attack, reflecting Cold War anxieties and preparedness efforts. In 1963, the Soviet Union launched the manned spacecraft Vostok 5, soon followed by Vostok 6, which carried Valentina Tereshkova, making her the first woman to travel into space. In 1982, after 74 days of fighting, Argentina surrendered to the United Kingdom, ending the Falklands Islands conflict and returning the disputed territory, including Port Stanley, to British control. In 1985, gunmen hijacked a passenger jet over the Middle East, drawing international attention to the ongoing regional conflicts and security challenges of the time. In 1989, Congressman William Gray became the first African American to be elected Democratic Whip of the United States House of Representatives, marking a milestone in American political history. In 1995, Chechen rebels took 2,000 people hostage in a hospital in Russia, highlighting the ongoing conflict and instability in the region. In 2002, the film The Bourne Identity, directed by Doug Liman and starring Matt Damon, was released in the United States. The movie launched a successful spy thriller franchise. In 2002, a large asteroid designated 2002 MN passed extremely close to Earth, just 3 times the distance to the Moon. Astronomers discovered the 73-meter-wide object 3 days after its closest approach.
Subscribe so you don't miss tomorrow's events.